BlueAnon, baby. While we were out celebrating and making jokes about Trump, you know, just people basically memeing that Trump is dead. Okay. And the right wingers were getting upset that people were memeing that Trump is dead. BlueAnon was taking it sincerely. Here's Adam Cochran, investor, professor, policy consultant, author, independent investigative journalist, and father, trying to make the world suck less. This is a 31 tweet Twitter thread from Adam Cochran. Now, if you were old enough, if you're old enough in this community and you were around for Trump 1, you remember there were figures similar to this. There were BlueAnon figures back in the day as well. Seth Abramson comes to mind. He was one of the prominent Trump guys, okay? There were a bunch of these guys that like had gotten their brains broken with Russiagate stuff, so they would almost always tie everything back. Louise Mensch as another good one. They would always tie everything back to like, you know, Donald Trump's having gay sex with Vladimir Putin. Now, those guys haven't been as active or as prominent in Trump 2, but they were a important fixture. They were an important fixture of the BlueAnon movement in Trump 1. They were a prominent feature of the resistance against Donald Trump in Trump 1. Okay. Nowadays, they're not around as much. They're not as visible. They're not as loud. But every now and then, something like this gets out of control. It snowballs and it becomes this like massive thing. Or maybe I just don't see the BlueAnon people because it's not on my fucking Twitter timeline. But they're still here. BlueAnon, in most circumstances, can have a firm commitment to the fact that the election was stolen by Trump. And that, you know, SpaceX and the Starlink Elon Musk connection actually played a role in changing the outcome of votes. They think that there are like vote count disparities. Reddit / something is wrong 2024 is one of the largest subreddits that where you can tap in to what the BlueAnon guys are up to. Okay. They believe that like, you know, Elon Musk hacked the election for Donald Trump. This is one of those threads. There was another prominent like blue MAGA BlueAnon thread that we looked at a while back that accused JD Vance of being a child. That one got like hundreds of thousands of likes. If you remember, this guy came out and was like, I have evidence. JD Vance, a child. That's why he changed his name. And I'm going to prove it. That was awesome. That was crazy. They went nutty for that one for a little bit. Anyway, sus, weirdly informed. I am a enjoyer of every different type of political curio, and American politics is a target-rich environment for that kind of thing. So anyway, I believe there's growing evidence that the White House is covering up the fact that Donald Trump has been dealing with TIA strokes and that he likely had more significant ischemic strokes this week. Let's start with the basics. TIAs are temporary blockages. You'll see symptoms, leg dragging, eye drooping, etc., but they resolve within 24 hours. Ischemic strokes leave a lasting impact, but can range dramatically in scope and severity. TIAs precede an ischemic stroke in about 30% of patients and often result in a long-lasting interventions to try and prevent any risk of a larger stroke. Now let's get to what paints this picture with Trump. In March 2024, Ron Filipkowski notes that Trump has been dragging his right leg for a while. It's something we've seen him do on and off over this past year, but not super notable on its own. Let's take a look. I see a sexy man doing a sexy dance, for the record. Okay? I see a sexy man doing a sexy dance. I don't know what these haters are saying that he's dragging his right feet. 531. Then in Time magazine interview from right after the election, we see the first note of Trump's hand bruising. Once again, something people didn't think much of at the time. Sitting under the bright lights for a 30-minute photo session ahead of a 65-minute interview, he's asked to explain the bruising on his right hand. It's from shaking hands with thousands of people, he says. It comes up again during the Macron visit on February 25th, 2025, where Caroline Leavitt repeats the lie about it being from shaking too many hands. Okay? The next medical event we see is the president's annual physical report. Comparing the medication list to his old reports, we notice that there are three new medications: rosuvastatin, ezetimibe, and a daily aspirin. Well, the daily aspirin is normal, but I don't know what the fuck these two things are. What is it's for cholesterol control, apparently. And the daily aspirin at that age is normal. It's for mitigating some sort of like heart condition. You know what I mean? You just do it for... You just chew aspirin, I think. The daily aspirin is not normal. No, old people take daily aspirin, don't they? To make sure they don't have like fucking some kind of heart heart condition. I fear when I watch this kind of stuff, when I read into this kind of stuff, I fear that there are many in my audience that actually go, hold on, this is real. Okay. At first, I thought this might be normal medication for managing cholesterol, but I've certainly heard of preventative aspirin use in the past, but I decided to interview some heart specialists, and I'm glad I did. There are two general takeaways I heard from multiple specialists. Daily aspirin is not recommended for prevention anymore. An aspirin regime is treating something. Ezetimibe, I don't know if I'm saying it right. I'm definitely not saying it right. Is a second-line medication not used for regular LDL treatment. Statins like rosuvastatin will manage cholesterol alone, whereas ezetimibe will be used as a second line if the patient is at high cardiovascular risk, such as prior strokes, heart attacks, or arterial disease. Then is used for stroke prevention. Trump's previous medical reports claim his cardiovascular health is great and is on the statin, so he shouldn't need ezetimibe. But this also brings us to the aspirin. As it turns out, aspirin has been advised as a daily course prevention method for quite a while. Hasn't been advised. Some old doctors may still incorrectly prescribe it as such, but qualified medical staff who keep up with the literature wouldn't. A daily aspirin dose is now used as a blood thinner for specific lines of treatment, including in managing ischemic strokes. Then in June, we see Trump's swollen ankles, and for the first time, the White House medical team is willing to admit he's got CVI. His bruising is related to aspirin regime and shaking hands. 1431. They keep coming back to this claim that aspirin does indeed make bruising easier. There's three problems with this claim. Bruising is seen on both hands, not just his dominant hand. The next problem, CVI is not a sudden onset issue, and swollen ankles is an intermediate symptom. An annual physical in April would have caught CVI back then if ankles were going to be swelling, and aspirin isn't CVI treatment. But third, some of the bruising is monthly, usually around the 24th. Check the dates. It seems much more likely the president is being monitored monthly for something, and then also occasionally getting an emergency IV as well. I could totally see that, by the way. Blue and on conspiracy aside, I could see that bruising being a consequence of like getting monthly, like monthly IVs. So what does this all mean? When a patient has had a TIA, they have temporary symptoms, but would have been started on aspirin, these medications to prevent future ischemic stroke risk, just like we see with Trump. The patient having TIAs may have temporary symptoms for 24 hours afterwards, including face drooping, leg dragging, or trouble walking in a straight line. This was weird. Oh my God, it's working. It's working on me. It's working on me. I'm believing it now. I'm a BlueAnon guy. I'm a truther. He's dead. He's been cloned. Patients who experience very mild strokes that are not on TIA, such as lacunar stroke or minor ischemic stroke, may have persistent but barely noticeable symptoms, such as drooping on the lip, eyelid, and eyebrow, which would be on the same side of the leg dragging symptom. I think he's just old, man. That's just what happens when gravity takes over. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're reading too much into the tea leaves here. Okay. Like, if a patient under White House level medical care was seen having a stroke, they'd be scanned to rule out a hemorrhagic with the White House portable MRI, and then could receive alteplase, a clot-busting peripheral IV, often given in the hand for elderly patients. If that patient was on aspirin for cardio risk management and or potential calcium blockers, we'd expect bruising on the hands, swelling on the ankles. If they had a mild ischemic stroke, we'd expect the patient to be on bed rest for 24 to 48 hours, by 2 to 3 days, able to take smaller assisted steps, and the patient may have facial droop, flatter facial creases, or their mouth agape due to facial muscle weakness. This photo doesn't look good. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and act like this is a good photo for him. Okay, he's not exactly the sexiest guy, contrary to what the weirdos who love Donald Trump might claim. He's not exactly the sexiest guy. He's not known to be a looker. Okay. Having said that, I think it's cool that we finally have another Brandon. You know, welcome back, Joe Brandon. It's Brandon 2. Okay. That's it. We got Brandon 2, Brandon 2.0. He's here. Even though they could walk at this time, speech and complex motor skills may still be recovering. And we noticed Trump oddly kept the press pool very far back from the White House and hasn't allowed them on the golf course. We also noticed that he was dressed as the same as the last time he went golfing with Kai, and that MAGA influencers were given an old picture to circulate from January and his other golfing picture from June 27th. Also, whenever the administration actually cares about a particular thing, they will release they will release like info. They'll info dump to the regular fucking Twitter sphere, right? And they will all turn around and post, President Trump's the best grandpa. Trump looks so young. I love this photo. Okay? It's an old photo. It's an old ass photo. They posted old ass photos. Like they were just like making it seem like he was hanging out with this professional golfer. He was not. You know what I mean? Those same influencers were circulating a video of him in the same outfit, but that one came from June 29th this year. Yeah, this is not a new video. This is an old video, but they were literally circulating this on Saturday as though it was a new video.
Bravo!
My superstar.
Hi, Mr. President.
Wait, this man did another 31 Twitter thread. No, this is the one. This is the fucking thread that we're looking at. The next picture of him today, this was from yesterday, from afar with continued face droop. He once again spoke with no reporters before going golfing, and both times reporters were confined to the tennis court out of view of his course instead of letting them take pictures like normal. This is a new one. None of this even gets into the other weird events this week, of Vance being ready to take over, or social posts seemingly like they were written by interns. But the motive is clear. They know Vance does not have the same hold over the base of the party nor the Republican Congress. If Vance was president, the admin would get far more pushback. This is true. Under a normal administration, a president having repeated TIAs wouldn't be removed from office. But even a moderate ischemic is likely to impact mental faculties and merit the 25th Amendment being invoked. That's never happening, though, because Democrats are unfortunately too cowardly to do anything against the Trump administration at this point. Vance and Miller know that their federal power consolidation requires continued implementation leading up to the midterms, and Trump's own ego will mean he never lets go willingly. So unless the White House can provide a transparent explanation of his health. Wait, what? Absolutely, Lamau? What do you mean? I just don't think the Democrats are going to move in that direction. 25th would be cabinet members, not the Democrats in Congress. Okay, but the cabinet members are obviously not going to do it either. The cabinet members are not going to do it. No, I'm saying like the Democrats are not going to pressure to pull the 25th button regardless. And also, it didn't happen for Joe Brandon. You know what I mean? Like, my assessment of the situation is, my assessment of this kind of situation is usually that, like, what you see as far as the president health is the most rose-colored version of actual events. No matter who's in charge, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. Okay, that's just how it is. Okay, but because Donald Trump is, Mr. I love being in front of the cameras and chopping it up every day, it is unique that he is no longer doing that. This is the reason why a lot of people are going, oh, there is definitely a real health complication. Okay. But given the fact that no matter who's president, the version of the president's health that you see in public is going to be the best possible version, like far better than what is actually happening behind closed doors. This doesn't look too good. Okay. That's all I'm saying. This does not look too good for the president, especially when you got a couple days and you got the entire MAGA Twitter sphere, like people who are directly getting their notes from the administration to say whatever the fuck, to go against like whatever narratives that are brewing up. And they're all using old ass photos of him and old ass videos of him and being like, dude, he's a beacon of mental health and he's a physical specimen. How dare you? It kind of feels like the truth is the exact opposite of what they're trying to present it as. I feel like this is all wishful thinking. It is. Okay. When it comes down to demands of divine intervention, as a Turkish man, I have been here already. I have experienced this already. Many Turks in the chat will tell you they know exactly how this feels. But what you fail to consider is that evil never dies, and your demands, your wishes for Trump's demise will only power him further. I'll believe it when I see it. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But anyway, he says, so unless the White House can provide a transparent explanation of his health that better fits these circumstances, I'm forced to conclude that they are lying to the American people and hiding that Trump had a stroke. It's time for the press to push this and get clarity. Oh, look, golf's picture he posted that people thought he was claiming was from today is also from an older date. They're driving him to the golf course and not golfing. It's all ops to cover up something, and it's perfectly clearly a stroke. As pointed out by a reader, Is it Timbe was added in the 2020 physical along with an increase in rovastatin when the cholesterol didn't merit any of those. However, this was all around the same time as the president's impromptu physical at Walter Reed, where he felt the need to tell us he didn't have mini strokes. Pretty suspect timing. I think the funniest version of events would be a reverse Fetterman stroke. What if they're not letting Trump speak because he had a reverse Fetterman stroke and he's woke now? Many people are saying, even the local milk people, that gender is a construct. Look, we have a little fun at these rallies, don't we, folks? But I want to acknowledge first that this is stolen land. I want to acknowledge that we are sitting on stolen Iroquois land.